Hello everyone, today we're going to review the second Telecom-WAR in the LCK 2021. So, T1 with the 9th iteration of their team, getting in Elim and Teddy back into the roster. So, they're facing KT this time, getting straight into game number 1 here with the bans. So, we see Gnar, Hecarim and Tristana. Nothing too normal, you'd feel. On the blue side, you have more freedom with your bans, but not seeing picks like Seraphine, Rel, or even the Udyr, which are usually seen on T1 side. So maybe they have learned to play against these champions, or maybe they personally fear these matchups. But yeah, it's nothing too outlandish. On the other side, the Lucian against Closer, Renekton against Zeus, and the Kalista obviously against Teddy. More targeted bans on KT side here, but again, nothing too detrimental to the draft. It leaves you wondering though that many OP picks are being left open, and yeah, we see T1 is failing to pick up the first one with the Thresh. It seems that they have dropped the Seraphine idea after the loss against Bro. So yeah, Thresh coming in high priority for carrier. It's a pick that's usually banned, so it's kinda understandable, but B1 Thresh, not good. There are many counters and there are many other champions that you want to pick up, like the Lilia, like the Rel, like the Seraphine. Yeah, so that's a bit questionable here. On the other side, Rel and the Udyr. So Udyr, still high priority in the LCK, has dropped in other regions. The Rel on the other side, yeah, very powerful. A bit early to counter pick support here. You could get like more priority picks here in the earlier stages, but I guess you're not revealing too much of your comp. So yeah, you get the counter pick for the other positions. And here the Udyr, very strange. Lilia is open, so why not pick her up? I think Lilia is way better than Udyr personally. The champ is just more versatile and yeah, even from low economy more effective. Lilia was even hovered here by Gideon, but yeah, elected the Udyr. T1 then not failing to pick up Lilia at least here and getting the Aphelios, who is not only on farm with the Lilia, but obviously here the Thresh Aphelios bot lane, the strongest part of T1 so far in 2021. So yeah, T1 here with a very strong rotation here early on, even though the order should have been a bit different. In the end they end up with 3 very effective picks here. Jinx rounding up KT's comp here, a needed hyper carry to somewhat match the Aphelios in the later stages, and with her range she can actually do quite well, especially here against Thresh and Lilia. She pairs up quite okay with Rel, considering here the blue side. They can be quite effective in defending the turret early on against the expected power of the T1 bot lane. In the next ban phase, Jace and Azir are gone, so Azir obviously, he would pair nice up with KT's picks here, accompanying the Jinx in terms of high DPS, and with Udyr and Rel as somewhat frontline. Yeah, that would be quite effective here. Also with his longer range, he could somewhat be a problem for Lilia and Aphelios in the teamfight stages. So this ban makes sense. The Jace though, I mean, no top laner is picked. Jace ban makes also little sense if Gnar is already banned, right? People perceive Jace as a counter to Gnar. So yeah, that's a bit more questionable. Maybe they have some intel that we don't from scrims, but yeah. On the other side, Camille and the Irelia. Irelia most likely against Closer, but as they're both also top lane bans, we might expect here, in line with the Renekton ban, we might expect to see an Aatrox pick up here for Zeus, also a pick that he has played quite a bit in the past. So yeah, with these bans they probably want to pick up the Aatrox themselves, or potentially, as these are like hyper scaling top laners in the split push scenario, they want to pick up something like the Scion, who can't really hinder them in scaling. But yeah, the 3 bans here more indicating an Aatrox pickup, so it's strange that we see the Scion here. Yes, Scion also has some issues against the later 2 bans here, but overall, yeah, not aligned with the Renekton ban here. Scion here, yeah, he's not too great. He is, yes, he's charging into T1, who doesn't have a frontline as of yet, but yeah, against the high damage of Aphelios, chances are that he's getting melted quite effectively. And yeah, maybe a Gangplank would have been a bit better here to control the space, but I'm always for playing tanks instead of Gangplank in most cases, because most teams, or like most lower bracket teams here, can't really play Gangplank as a team or as an individual player. So yeah, picking up a tank instead, always kinda nice. T1 here, Zoe and Aatrox. That's a bit iffy here, these are not in line with the rest of the team. So Aatrox into the Jinx here. I don't really think that he can get to her, especially if like Udyr and Rel are playing somewhat defensively. Like obviously they can engage, but if Aatrox is running onto Jinx, they can easily lock him up. And as he's not even like a tiny bit tanky, especially in face of Jinx, he will just give her free resets. So that's a bit strange. Also seeing that into the Scion, like Aatrox is not really doing too much against Scion, and they're not making use of the safer blue side for the top lane here. So that's very strange. Obviously for Zeus personally, it's a good pick, but overall it's not really good against the enemy comp and not really all that helpful with your comp, right? You have already high scaling champions, so you either want protection or like champions that fall in line with the same identity, and Aatrox is not offering that, and Zoe as well. So Zoe, again, here we have 3 tankier champions, makes little sense to pick up the Zoe. Even against Jinx, it's not really a pick like that you can secure the bubbles with reliably. So again, no DPS, no protection. These 2 champions here don't fall in line with what T1's identity was. I get Zoe is one of the 3 champions Closer can play, so yeah, that's the limited champion pool he has, or effective champion pool you might want to add. For Zeus, he has shown a bit more variety in the top lane, so it's a bit more strange for him. On the other side here, last pick Vladimir for Doran or Dove. It goes into Doran's hand in the end. So Vladimir free scaling against Aatrox, and while the Scion not the optimal pick in theory, in practice I mentioned he's quite decent. Vladimir here, yeah, he's more of the hyper scaling DPS champion, and especially with the way T1 has drafted, right, there's nothing really stopping him unless like Zoe and Lilia can sleep him, which is not too reliable. Vladimir can create tons of space for Jinx, and especially considering that Aatrox is a forward moving champion, he will move forward past Vladimir, trying to attack the Jinx, and the Vladimir will move the enemy, will move T1 backwards, because right, the threat he possesses, so the Aatrox will be more isolated, if you kind of get what I mean here. Overall, yeah, T1, they have champions that they like, right? Personally, like everyone plays champions that they excel and that they're pretty good at. So it could just be that everyone is winning laning phase, and then they're snowballing from that to secure the dragons with the strong bot side. And then, yeah, if Aphelios, for example, gets fed, it doesn't really matter that much, yeah, because the bruisers or even the tanks of KT will be melted. But yeah, if we look a bit more theoretical, KT, yeah, they do have a great comp here to especially deal with these later picks here. So the draft edge would go in KT's favor, but considering T1's players, they're really getting comfort picks here, like really comfort picks. I would give the edge in the end for T1, but only because of the players. So that's it for this first game. We see each other in game number 2. And game number 2, yeah, as game number 1 ended with T1's first win in a while, yeah, looking good so far. We start with the pick ban here, so the Kalista picked up Band, Thresh and Irelia for KT, so the Thresh after game 1, yeah, kinda understandable, carrier was smurfing quite a bit of him, as expected, right? And the Kalista and Irelia again, similar to game number 1, Irelia now banned a bit earlier. I don't really have to talk about them again, as they are target bans against these 3 players. On the other side, Tristana again, this time the Rel is being banned. I mean, yeah, she was causing a bit of issues, but nothing too major. Kai'Sa banned a bit more strange, as she wasn't really prioritized all that much in the first game. So this leaves again major OP champions open, like the Lilia, which is being here first pick for KT. Perfect. I mean, the Seraphine also can do quite well here, but yeah, let's not criticize this again. Nara Senna. So Nara is very questionable. So I mentioned that Jace, for example, is a counter that's open, and there are like many more, like the Gangplank, for example, or even non-traditional ones. But yeah, it's quite questionable. Also, like red side is not really the side Gnar excels too much. So yeah, very questionable. I guess you want to hide something else, but like you could pick Zoe earlier if like Closer was only playing Zoe. So yeah, it's quite questionable. In the end here, the Senna though, very good. I personally like this really much for Teddy. So Teddy obviously is like known as the Fountain Laser. So giving him a champion with tons of range again, yeah, really fitting for his personality or his personal playstyle. And also the way he approaches the game, I think that really falls in line with Senna. Here on the blue side, perfect pick, right? A perfect scaling champion here. On the other side, Jinx and Azir. So they are both weak to extreme long range and super hard engage. So yeah, T1 here already having some of both. Obviously Gnar is like not super reliable hard engage, but at least it's something, and considering that KT is in the bottom half of the standings, you can expect some mispositioning, which Gnar can punish obviously. But that's more on the practical and not theoretical side. They do have a lot of damage and scaling here with these 3 picks. So yeah, we want to see probably a bit more of the front line, because yeah, again, match score and also yeah, creating space. And yeah, a bit of hard engage against long range champions could also work quite nice here for KT. Again, I mentioned they're weak against that, and long range champions, for example, Vel'Koz, right, is one of the champions that immediately come to mind, or Xerath, right, these standard picks. They are very, very weak to hard engage, also to this here, but we come to that later. So yeah, this is what KT wants to pick up. T1 here though, getting the Udyr, who is neither reliable hard engage nor long range. Yes, he can somewhat match the Lilia in terms of power in the jungle, but it really is not aligned against what KT has drafted here, and also it does not really elevate what T1 has on their side. I mean, yeah, there is some synergy with Senna Udyr, but it's not strong enough to deal with this. In the next ban phase, Tahm Kench and Nautilus are being banned, so more carrier bans. The Nautilus, yeah, it would be more aligned with the hard engage. Again, considering the player level, KT is more likely to misposition and get hit by a Nautilus Q, and then get locked up with his ultimate and auto attack. Tahm Kench though, as a fasting Senna partner, does not really make sense. I mean, KT would like a Tahm Kench pick up here for T1. So yeah, the Tahm Kench is not really doing anything against KT and not doing anything for T1. Like Tahm Kench here, what is he doing? Like, he's not providing anything. So yeah, the ban is questionable. You actually, as KT, want T1 to pick this up. So yeah, this makes little sense. This is okay though. On the other side, the Jace ban and Camille ban. So Camille would not really be too, like, it would be okay. It would not be the best answer, but it would be a decent answer for like incoming long range champions here on R4, R5 with her Hextech Ultimatum obviously, and as she's also doing quite okay in Donar. And the Jace, as I mentioned in game number 1, is a counter against Gnar. Continuing with the picks here, Zoe again for closer. Zoe, yes, she is a long range champion, but yeah, it's not really the perfect solution you're looking for. I mean, there are other options. Most commonly against Asia is like Victor. What else could you... Victor, I think Victor is the best option here, as his W in space control is always also quite helpful against Lilia and Jinx. So yeah, I think a Victor could have been really nice here. Victor also, yeah, kind of follows Senna's playstyle. So while these two champions are not aligned with Senna Victor, at least there would be some like team play here. And Victor can also somewhat protect Senna in these super late game stages where she's like, yeah, a fountain laser hitting from 200 million range. KT here electing the Gangplank and Leona. Really like the Leona, don't do anything too special here. In the support position, you need at least some like skirmishing and engage potential. So while an Enchanter for Jinx would have been nice, I mean, Lilia could and should really go for supportive build this game. Leona is just easier to play and more forgiving, which obviously, again, I really like for these lower teams. And also considering here Leona's ultimate as non-committal, semi-long range engage against Zoe and Senna, already kinda decent, especially in skirmishes, can work really nice. Gangplank, so as I indicated, his ultimate is very strong here. So Senna is immobile, Zoe is immobile. His ultimate can split up team fights and really solo these players out. His space control, so with his barrels, so his E and I don't know, Azir's passive, I guess. Jinx E, they can control so much space and so much like artificial terrain if you want. They can like really close up one of these river entrances, for example, and make it really difficult for T1 to even get remotely close till, yeah, Senna's activated. Of course, Gangplank is not so forgiving in the top lane position. Yes, he's on the blue side, which is again the easier and more scaling side. But yeah, for KT, especially after the game 1 performance of Doran, I think a tank would have been the simpler option. Something like with super hard engage. So obviously there's now a bit more of the player dependence, right? Like you could range from Maokai to Malphite. And yeah, it's a bit more on the forgiving side, especially after game 1. T1 rounding up their comp with Zed. So Zed falls in line with Udyr and Gnar as someone who's just running into the enemy team. Yes, he's especially good at flanking. But yeah, if he's not able to find a flank, this team comp is just destroying all of these three. And it's actually quite dangerous for T1 to pick this up here. He's not super providing much with the additional farm. I mean, he's getting a bit more tankier, but he's not super hyper scaling in that sense. So a funneled Zed is not doing all too much. Zed into Leona, very good matchup. Like, he's destroying her completely in the 1v1 or like in the 2v2. So yeah, for T1's bot side here, that's a good pickup. In the later stages of the fights, unless Kara is able to find miraculous engages from like flanks, he's not providing anything. And just like the Udyr will be super invisible. So yeah, T1 drafting themselves in kind of a hole here. I mean, this is not super unexpected to come in, and this is just on theme with what they have here. While you could tweak it a bit, and there are, again here, Gangplank is not overcoming the weakness against long range too much. Yes, we have these two ultimates here, and maybe even the ER combination of Lilia that can somewhat deal with super long range. Again, like, the long range factor doesn't even come super into play against T1 here, as their long range is, taking a while and a bit more situational. So KT with a massive draft edge if you want to factor in players. Yes, the Gangplank could be a bit of an issue for Doran, and even Hybrid on Jinx was mispositioning quite a bit. So obviously KT's players are a bit more volatile in their play, but even here on T1 side, Zoe for closer, high comfort, Senna, even though Teddy has not played her too much, it's a champion that really falls in line with his playstyle. In the other positions though, Zos and Gnar, it's a good combination. He has shown quite proficiency on it in the past. Carrier and Set, not really a known duo. Carrier playing like 11 or 12 different champions in the support position, so maybe it's a bit more difficult to find the one pick Carrier is known for besides the Thresh. Udyr and Elim, so back a few weeks and months ago when Elim was playing, he was playing Udyr and Olaf quite a lot, so he's also quite comfortable with these champions. So T1 here again going for more comfort and more like isolated laning matchups to follow the easier style of them, snowballing lane and then winning the game. But considering what KT's champions are, it's quite difficult to penetrate their protective layout, right? Like it's more harder to crack the blue side here than for T1 to crack the red side in like game number 1. So in the end though, I have to say T1 was able to wrestle out the win in this game here. It was very, very messy, and at many stages T1 was very close to defeat, but in the end immaculate play from nearly all of them over the duration of the very long game. Like good bubbles from Zoe, Senna obviously going to like over 200 souls. So then these champions are super effective, right? But you can't really guarantee that. T1 though stalling out the game, securing the Mountain Soul, and then super questionable play from Dove and Doran, which makes it a bit easier for them to in the end steal the victory in a sense here with the massive theoretical draft disadvantage T1 again had. It was, especially the team fights, it was really clear that these T1 players, they are like so mechanically gifted. It's really, it's really strange how this comes to play. So it shows that they're so good they can even outmuscle the comp difference. But KT was leading them a hand with quite questionable decisions and positioning. In the end though, T1 here finishing the Telecom-WAR with the 0-2 victory, equalizing the score in the Telecom-Wars for Spring, and getting the neutral series score and 7-7. Again, defending their place in the upper bracket against KT. KT more on a downward trend as of now. For T1 though, the question is, do you continue with this roster? So I personally think like Elim did a good job, but he was quite invisible even in game number 1, which was more of a snowball. So I think while Elim was performing well, the question is what's with Kaz? Kaz currently I think rank 1 and rank number 4 or something in solo queue. And Owner obviously, like he had immaculate performances. So the jungle question is still open. I think Elim did play decent as I said. So Then for Zeus, his play was good, but Kana is also ranked number 3 in solo queue at the moment. So maybe there's a case for him if his mental has healed. For Closer, obviously we're going to flame him every time, which it's hard for him. He has to feel like the largest shoes on the world in the League of Legends scene, that is. He landed bubbles, but overall the play, it was good. It was really good. He got the MVP for game number 2. And yeah, it can be argued that he was like the major factor of the win. In the end though, the burden that he brings with like only playing these limited champions is still something that we have to see for the future. Again, the rumors say that Faker has not scrimmed with the team for 2 weeks. So yeah, mid lane is still a hot mess. While this was a game where Closer showed that he is, that he's a very, very good player overall, right? Not only in the laning phase, but that's again only connected to these champions. We need an extension of his champion pool, and then, yeah, more performances like this. Carrier, yeah, was doing a good job as always. I mean, he's like probably the best support in the world, so yeah, further continuing here. But let's not rant too much. We're looking for the next week with more draft reviews, so let's stay to that. Wish you all a great day, and bye.